Hello, and welcome back to Let's Talk Chicago Bears. And it's the day after Thanksgiving. I hope you all had a great Thanksgiving. Unfortunately, I did not have a good one. I've been sick. I couldn't even do my show Wednesday night with my buddy. We do that podcast, live podcast. My grandson got me sick with RSV, and I've been sick since last weekend. I'm better today, so if I'm coughing, I apologize. I am better, but I did not go to my daughter-in-law's family house yesterday because I didn't want to get anybody else sick. Most of the people had it in her family, but I didn't want to take that chance. So I sat home by myself. Ooh. But I did watch football all day, and those were some great games yesterday. Sometimes we get stinkers on Thanksgiving, but there were some really good ones. And I got to say, I enjoyed it. It was kind of a bummer because I missed out on the meal, but they did bring me some leftovers, so I got to go get those today. Of course, I have to go pick them up. So excuse me if I'm hacking, but it's the way it is. All right, so let's talk about the Bears. They're 3-8, and they're playing the Jets in New York on Sunday, and the Jets are 4-6. And these two teams have met only 12 times, dating back. Their first meeting was 1974, and the Jets, one of the few times the Bears are overwhelming beating a team. The Jets have won 3, and the Bears have won 9. So since 1974, it's not a lot of. They haven't played a lot, but the teams are pretty evenly matched, except for maybe one or two areas. So we'll go over the passing. The Bears passing, still they're 32nd in the league. They're only averaging 128 yards, and I'm going to talk about that a little later. I have been talking about it for the last 2 or 3 weeks. I think they should be throwing more. See what he's got. We're 3-8. It doesn't matter at this point. So I'm gonna talk to you about something somebody had said I read. Okay, so the the Bears are dead last out of 32 teams. They're 32, and the Jets are averaging about 201 yards a game in pass. That puts them 25th. We are still first at rush. We're averaging 197 a game. That puts us first. And Jets are averaging over 110 a game. So they're over 100, and they're 20th. So that could be a problem for the Bears defense because we know they can't stop. They can't stop a toddler crawling, okay? So the points scored, they're both pretty evenly matched there. Bears are scoring about 21.9 points a game. That puts them 17th. And the Jets are scoring about 19.9 a game. That puts them 22nd. The Bears are giving up more defense. They're allowing 24.9 points a game, so almost 25 points a game, and the Jets are at 18 points a game they're giving up. So their defense is a little better than ours when it comes to that, and we know that we can't stop anything, so we're going to see about that. So let's just continue with the stats first, and then we'll talk. Now, the Jets have made a change. They have benched, and he's going to be inactive, their starting quarterback, who was drafted last year, Zach Wilson, and they're going to put in a Mike White. They're not even putting Joe Flacco in. So the coach said after the loss last week to the Patriots that White was going to be elevated to the backup ahead of veteran Joe Flacco. So now Flacco's third, White was second. And White was drafted back in 2018 by the Cowboys. He was released in 2019 by the Cowboys. The Jets signed him. And then his career with the Jets have been on the practice squad, off the practice squad, then he's active, and then he's back on the practice squad. So now in White's career in 2021, he played 4 games for them. He was 1-2. His passing average was 66.7 with 953 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions. So we'll see what he's got. You know, he was third on the totem pole, and now he's first. So Joe Flacco will be his backup. So there's a little, they're trying to teach their starting quarterback, Zach Wilson, some lessons. I think I had read some stuff, and he was being a pompous ass, blaming other people other than himself for what been going on with the team. So the coach had to, settle them down, sit them down, and make them see the whole picture. If you want to be an NFL quarterback, you got to play well, you got to act mature, and you got to be the leader on the team, and he is doing none of those at this point. So that's why he's been sat down and inactive. So we're going to have Mike White, which we know not too much about. So there's no stats to compare him to like Fields. So we don't even know if Fields is playing today. I forgot to check the injury report, but there's no point. It's day to day. That's everything. Coach Flus hasn't been giving a lot of information. Fields has been giving more than he has. I can tell you what Fields has so far. Fields has passing 1,642 yards passing, 834 yards rushing. He leads the Bears on that. He has 13 touchdown passes with 8 interceptions right now, and he's been sacked a league high 40 times. Yeah, 40 times. I don't have anything on Trevor Siemian, which I can't say his last name, Trevor, because he hasn't started. So if he plays, we don't really have any comparison. We'll see what happens. But we don't know about Fields. I personally would sit him this week. I don't see the point of getting him hurt. The only way I'd play him if you're not going to run him a lot. I wouldn't run him. If he's got a bad shoulder, he's going to get hit in that shoulder. It's just dumb. You don't want to ruin his career, and you don't want him to be out the rest of the year. I'd like to see him sit with the Jets game and come back for the Packers game next week on December 4th in Soldier Field, and I'd like to see him beat Aaron Rodgers' ass. That's what I'd like. But we'll see. So we really don't know. We won't know probably until tomorrow or game time if Fields is starting. I'm up in the air about it. I just wouldn't take the chance, but we'll see, right? That's why I'm not an NFL coach, and I only do this show. Okay, our running back. Well, we know that Herbert's still out, so we're going to talk about David Montgomery. He is actually third on the depth chart in rushing yards. He has 501 yards rushing with 3 TDs, rushing TDs. As I said, Fields has 834 yards. So it was Fields, Herbert, and Montgomery. But Herbert is on IR, so no point. For the Jets, they have 2 running backs with some pretty hefty totals. The first one is Hall, and he has 464 yards rushing with 4 touchdowns, and a gentleman called Carter. He has 49 yards rushing with 3 touchdowns. So their rushing team, as we see, I told you they average about 110. So it's going to be a running game, is my guess, by both of these teams on Sunday, especially with White being in there. He hasn't played much for the Jets, and we don't know who's going to be in there for the Bears. Wide receivers, Mr. Mooney leads the pack for the Bears. He has 493 yards receiving with 2 touchdowns. I'd like to see that go up a little bit. That's pretty sad. Clement, our tight end, has 309 yards receiving with 5 touchdowns. I'm really, really proud of him. He's really coming on. As I said in the last show, he is starting to be the player we thought he was when we drafted him 3 years ago. And he's one of Mr. Mooney and Clement seem to be Fields' favorite targets. So let's just hope they keep catching. And David Montgomery has 204 yards receiving. So I like seeing that too, because David is a versatile running back. He can block, he can run, and he can catch. And that's why I want the Bears to keep him. I want them to sign him in the offseason. He's a free agent. And with Herbert and him next year, that gives Fields a lot of help. But we'll see what the Bears do. They certainly could afford him. Okay, the wide receivers for the Jets, Wilson, a wide receiver, has 533 yards receiving, 2 touchdowns. Davis has 351 yards receiving with 2 touchdowns. And Corkland has 331 yards with 3 touchdowns. But this guy has fumbled twice. And the Bears like to get those fumbles. So let's get some fumbles, guys, out of them this week, okay? I'd like to see some more turnovers. Our defense is one big difference, and you're going to hear it. So the Bears defense has 15 sacks. Jets have 32 sacks by their defense. See, this is another reason why I don't think I'd play Fields. 32 sacks they have by their defense. And our line sucks. They've gotten a little better each week, just a teeny bit here and there. There's improvement. But they play well, and then they don't. They play well, and then they don't. And so just for those 32 sacks by the Jets defense, I wouldn't play Fields. But we'll see what happens. The Bears have 9 interceptions. The Jets have 11. So we got to watch out there. They're equal. We have 14 fumbles, but we've only recovered 6 out of those 14 fumbles. The Jets have 9 fumbles, and they've recovered 3. So we're a little bit better on that than they are. We're equal on, they're 2 better on the. So those turnover battles, it's going to be close. It's the sacks by that defense that really, really concerns me. So I'm just going to talk about some other stuff. So the Bears, one thing I've noticed after seeing them play last week, they look tired to me, and they haven't had a bye. Their bye is not for another 2 weeks, and that just sucks to have a bye this late in the season. It does nobody any good. The only time a bye this late in the season is good for a team is if they're headed for the playoffs, and it gives them some rest. They can rest some of their starters. They can rest in that bye time, rest their starters, and come out fresh to finish the season. But it doesn't do teams like the Bears any good because these guys need a rest. So, having it in 2 weeks or 2 or 3 weeks, excuse me, it's after the Packer game. So, and then what? There's 4 games after that? Woo! So the bye sucks. So the Bears having the bye so late this year, I bet you anything next year they're going to have a bye real early, and we're going to be pissed about that too. Us Bear fans, you can never satisfy us. But the team looks tired to me. I really think so. They've been going, and they've been given 110%. I will give them that. But so we'll see. Now, Trent Dilfer is a ex-quarterback from the NFL, and he won a Super Bowl once. No disrespect, Trent, but not a great quarterback. The reason he was on a Super Bowl winning team is because of the defense. But he's been doing with these guys, Bernstein, and I forgot the other guy's name. He does podcasts with them about the Bears, and something he said really resonated with me, and I've kind of been saying it, but not the way he's saying it. So he said, the Bears have got to start throwing the ball, and they got to start throwing it to Claypool because they picked him up in a trade, and they've hardly used him. And the reason they want to start throwing to him, of course, they want to throw to all the receivers, but particularly Claypool, because you want, in the offseason, you want wide receivers that are going to be free agents. You want them to come to the Bears. And if the Bears are not throwing to their wide receivers, like a Claypool, who is a playmaker, wide receivers aren't going to want to come to the Bears. I don't care how much you pay them. And we know the Bears aren't going to throw a lot of money at anybody. But so I've been saying that for weeks. I like to see them get Justin throwing more. We have nothing to lose at this point. We know he can frickin' run. But I know the line is a problem, but you got to find a way. Move him out of the pocket and have him throw, but we got to start getting him more passes down the field. He's got to get better at that. He's an overthrower, that's for sure. That's why we need to go get some tall wide receivers. And he's not hitting these guys in stride enough, and he's not getting them when they're open. We've seen a lot of open receivers this year, and he's not getting the ball to them. So that's youth, and it's not enough time. They practice in practice this, but it's not the same as gameplay. So I think Trent Dilfer is 100% right on this. If you want to attract good wide receivers in the offseason, you got to show them that the Bears want to throw the ball. And so this is the time. And again, I'm repeating myself, but we're 3-8. I don't even know if we're going to be 5-12 as I predicted. And somebody wrote, one of my viewers wrote, Why do you Bears fans want to win so much? All we're going to do now is get better draft picks. And I agree with that, but I didn't want to win as much as some people do. I didn't predict it. I didn't think so. But my only complaint is when you play a Detroit, although they're playing very well, but when they came in, they were not. We should have beaten them. We should have beaten Washington. And even if we didn't beat Detroit, because they're improving a lot. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But we should have beaten New York when we had a chance. There was a lot of games we should have won, and I felt we should be at least 5 wins right now. We're not going to have many more wins, or at least a couple more. So I get what my viewers are saying. We're going to get good draft picks, but there were some games they should have won. They were very winnable, and they can't finish. As I mentioned last week, the Bears cannot finish. That's their biggest problem here that I've seen this year is they're so close, and they just can't complete the game. They've given it away way too many times. So I forgot to do my threes. So let's go back to my threes real quick, and then I'll finish up the show. So my threes, I say it every Friday. Penalties, time of possession, and turnovers. So penalties, 5 or less to be in the game or have a chance to win the game. And the Bears, the last 2 games have been awful on penalties. And in my opinion, helped cost the last 2 losses a lot. As a matter of fact, yesterday in those games, all 3 games, there was costly penalties for all the teams. And I was like, God, if people are watching this, will they remember that I preach penalties hurt people? They hurt. And they big time in yesterday's game several times. And so the Bears have got to get back to 5 or less. Prior to the last 2 games, they were 5 or less for all the other games, except for these last 2 games, and I believe they had a lot to do with it. Yes, the refs are ripping us off. We're either getting bad calls or no calls, and there was another no call, terrible no call. Oh, no, it was a bad call, excuse me. They said it was holding by the defense, I think, and it wasn't even close to holding, and it gave the other team a first down when they had I think it was the late game, and they had stopped him, and then they gave it right back to him. So it was terrible no call. Even the announcers were like, that was not even close to being holding. So I don't know what's going on with these refs, but they're getting very bad reputations. There's a lot of conspiracy theories going around now that because betting is legal everywhere, that this has a lot to do with it. And in my heart, I hope that's not true, because I love football more than anything in this whole world. Well, not anything in this whole world. It's right below family and friends, okay? But that would just break my heart if that's happening. So these refs, I don't know, in the offseason, they got a lot of work to do, in my opinion, and these refs get paid a lot of money. So, okay, 5 or less penalties. Let's bring that back, home Bears, and do 5 or less, unlike the last 2 games. Time of possession, you want to win that. Because, as I say, it keeps your offense on the field, their defense on the field, their offense off the field, and our defense off the field. And you should be scoring points. The Bears won the time of possession last week handily and lost that game. So that is just bad. If you handily win the time of possession and still lose the game, something is really wrong. And then you want to win the turnover battle. You always want to have more turnovers than the other team. And if you give turnovers, to give it back, get those turnovers on defense, you're giving your offense another chance to go out on the field, score some points, and your defense can rest. So turnovers are huge. I'd like to see the Bears get a little bit better at that. Like I said, they have all those forced fumbles, but they're not recovering enough of them. So, and we've had some close interceptions where our guys have dropped them. So I'd like to see that pick up as well. So there was, like I said, there was some good games yesterday. Detroit gave Buffalo Bills a run for their money. Buffalo Bills hung on to win, and I got to give a shout out to a guy that is a big Detroit Lions fan, and his name is Don. Don, you know who. I'm not going to give your last name. I could, but I won't. And Don is now watching my show. He's subscribed to my show. Is that not cool? And I will say, I was rooting for Detroit to win yesterday. I really was, because we know how Detroit feels, people. They've been worse than we have for way more years than we have, and they're starting to turn it around. They're getting a little better. They lost a close one that they probably could have won yesterday, but they did win 3 in a row. Thank you to the Bears. But they're changing things around. They just are starting to figure it out. They just got to figure out if Goff is going to be their starting quarterback or not. I see a lot of really good things. So, Don, shout out to you for watching my show. Thank you, man. Even though you're a Detroit fan, I would love nothing more to see Detroit and the Bears in the next couple years fighting for first and second place. Let Minnesota and, of course, the Packers, which we won at the bottom, let them be third and fourth, right? Right on. So, you know what? Good job, Detroit. And there is something I wanted to do. I thought it would be funny. Yesterday, I've been wanting the Bears to get a safety. They've gotten close a few times, and I love the thing that the safety, what they do when they get a safety. So there was a safety in the last game last night. It was the last game, right? Yeah, the Minnesota game. So Minnesota got the safety, those 2 points, and I've wanted to do this whole season already. Now, most people, if you're young, you probably don't know what this is from, but the song that I'm humming is from a famous TV show from the 60s, late 60s and early 70s, and I've been wanting to do this all season. It's silly, I know, but I'm going to do it. Okay, you know that the safety is this. Refs do that, so this is going to do 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 safety. I know it's completely silly, but I had to do it. But yeah, that was fun seeing the safety and me doing my little. That's from I Dream a Genie. That's the opening song. So the music. So I had to do that. Just because I was home all day by myself on Thanksgiving, sitting here while my son and his wife are all over at his in-laws' house eating a great meal. So I came up with that. See what happens when you leave me alone? So anyways, we'll see what happens on Sunday. So, if they win the threes, like I said, they have a chance in this game. I think they have a chance. Well, they have a chance in a lot of these games, right? But the Bears look tired, so I'm just not sure what's going to happen. We don't know who's starting. This game is really up in the air, so I don't know what the hell is going to happen at this game. I do believe it's going to be a high running game. I'd like to see David Montgomery run a lot more than Fields if Fields is in there. I don't want to see Fields in there running. I don't want him to get hurt unless he's sliding, right? But I'd like to see passes. Let's see, some people believe we're going to get creamed if that Trevor starts, but I don't know about that. He's a pretty solid backup, but, the Jets and the Bears, they have a winning record right now. They're 6-4. We do not. We're 3-8. So I'm sure that they're favored and they're at home. So you know what, people? I don't even know what to think is going to happen in this game. I really don't, especially after the last couple games. We thought they were going to win the Detroit game. They should have. And we thought they were going to win last week, and they should have. So, you know what? I don't even know what to say. I really, and for me to say I don't know what to say or I'm speechless, it's just something that just doesn't happen often. So, excuse me. See, and my head is so clogged. So, might not be one of my better shows, but I did show up today. The show must go on. I could not do Wednesday's live podcast with my buddy because I was really down for the count, but much better today. So we'll see what happens. I'd like to bring home a win. I'd like to see us at 4-8, but we'll see, right? But I don't want Justin Fields to get hurt anymore. But then I'm saying I want him to pass. So I don't, what? It's an oxymoron because we don't have a very good offensive line, but yet I want him to pass. So I don't know. Let's see what happens. But I do like what Trent Dilford said. You got to show these wide receivers that are going to be free agents that we're serious about passing. And we need them on the Chicago Bears, and they want to come to the Chicago Bears because we're turning things around. I know it doesn't look like it right now, but we are. At least we should be. That we're headed in that direction. So, we know what we have to work in the off season: a defensive line, Offensive line, defensive line, and linebackers for the defense. Then we need a couple good wide receivers, nice tall wide receivers, and we be golden. The two biggest is the defensive line and the offensive line, clearly, especially the offensive line, so that Justin can have time to throw the damn ball. So, when we get closer to the end of the season, still a little early for me, so I'm going to wait, but then I'll start digging into free agents for offensive line and college guys coming out who are going to be the tops, defensive line, the tops, free agents in college, and wide receivers. So we'll talk about that at the end of the season more. We're still not quite there yet, but we don't have a lot of time left. So we'll see what happens on Sunday. Always root for the Bears. Go Bears. I always want to win, but the reality, I know, is what it is. And I want to give another shout out to somebody else. I thank Don, the Detroit fan, for watching. I do know that I have a Cleveland Browns fan watching me. He's a subscriber, right on. And I want to shout out to my friend. I know he watches. I gave my girlfriend a shout out a few weeks ago. And Bob, I know you watch me every show, and I appreciate it, man. Bob and I have been friends for a very, very long time. And was in our wedding, stood up for our wedding. So I love you, man, and thank you. And stay happy and healthy. And that's it. So, we'll see what happens on Sunday. I'll be back Monday to talk about it. Tell everybody about me. Subscribe. If you like my show, like and subscribe to it. I'm trying to get 400 subscriptions. That's my new goal. I got a few more over the week. I'm at 320 now. And like I said, if I'm going to get famous and I'm going to be somebody, I got to get going. I'm 64 damn years old. I'm running out of time. I don't really, so you got to help me get there, people. I'm just messing with you. I do this because I love football and I love my Bears. 47 years of watching them. That's a true Bears fan because they've let me down a lot in those 47 years, but I love them. Okay, on that note, because my throat is really starting to hurt. So on that note, I love you guys. As always, it was Thanksgiving weekend. This is the holiday to show what you're grateful for, and I hope you did yesterday, and I hope you all had a great time. And be grateful for the things you do have, and be kind to one another. Stop hate. Let's inspire change, and just love one another. Be there for people. Smile at people. I told you, smiling is so good. I mean, this face is, I'm not going to say, but it makes it so much better when you smile. So please, people, let's just be kind to one another. It's tough out there right now. So let's get through this together. And we're Bears fans, and we rock and roll. I love you. Keep on watching. Alert the media about me. Go Bears. And as always, I'll see you Monday, and keep on rocking and rolling from Vegas, baby. Oh, bye-bye.